What's up, everybody? What's good? My name is EK, and welcome back to What's Good English. It's time for another Storytime Tuesday episode, and if this is your first time here, every Tuesday I upload a story either about myself or like a myth or a legend or something like that, and I use a little bit more colloquial dialogue, a little more slang, African American vernacular, weird phrases that are hard for people learning English to understand, so that I can control the context and help you learn the real meaning of those things by naturally using them in a story. Today's story is going to be a story about myself and about the best job I ever have that I absolutely loved and why I chose to leave it. And as always, I will put up a title card here so that you can see all of the different phrases and vocabulary that I'm going to be using in this episode, so you get a clear idea of what to look out for whenever I say it, and so you can figure out what the meanings of those things are. Remember, I'm not going to subtitle myself, but you can always freeze frame it, pause it, come back to look at it, listen to the story again, listen to it multiple times. I need some more YouTube watch hours. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am a real estate agent in the Seattle area. Now, while I wouldn't say this is my favorite job or the best job I've ever had, it does allow me into a lot of really cool places. I get to see some just spectacular views. I get to meet some really nice people, and it does give me a lot of freedom to do things like launch a YouTube channel in my spare time. Believe it or not, this YouTube thing is actually the first time in my life where I'm using my degree. I went to college to learn how to edit videos, how to record videos, how to be in front of a camera, how to write for the media, how to be a reporter, all that stuff. I had a minor in theater, so it helped me out with all this acting stuff. Yeah, much later in my life did any of these skills actually become useful. Anyways, if you are a parent that has a kid that wants to do this YouTube thing and they want to go to school to learn how to do it, just set the money on fire. Like, literally set the money on fire. That's not like a phrase or anything that we have in English. It's just gonna have the exact same effect as it would paying for an entire college education to learn how to do this, when you can literally learn everything on YouTube. Unless it is a question of access to the equipment and all that. Anyways, I don't want to get into the weeds here on this one, so I'm just gonna make a companion video to this one with my advice for aspiring YouTubers or aspiring influencers. I'll put it inside of a potpourri playlist or something like that so that you can see it. It'll hopefully come out same day or the next, and that will be all that I say about that. Anyways, I've had loads of different jobs in my life. I've rented cars. I've worked in a bowling alley slash pool hall. That's one of the reasons that I will never have the lyrics to The Devil Went Down to Georgia out of my head. I've worked in several different malls. I've worked in several different call centers, and we're actually going to talk about one of those call centers today. The best job you ever had was a call center job? Like, yeah, call centers suck, don't get it twisted. However, I was a call center trainer, so I wasn't on the phones. When I did actually start on the phones, I knew exactly how sucky the job was, and it was my job to prepare people for how sucky that job was going to be. It actually was a lot more fun than it sounds. And when I started, my first few classes that I was in were a bit wonky, to say the least. I am super sorry to the first few training classes that I had, but I did eventually start to come into my own and figure out how to present things to people, and I really got my own footing and just took off. And from the very get-go, I had said that I want all of my classes to be like, some Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory type of stuff going on, so that people, they walk past the door and they hear something or they see something, they peek in, they go, what in the world is that boy teaching these people? But at the same time, to have those students, once they got out of my classroom and got onto those phones, be be just like the best ever. Just know their stuff, be ready to help out those angry customers when they come in, or excuse me, when they call in to talk about whatever nonsense happened on their bills, or help them out when their phone's not working, whatever the thing is that made them call in. I wanted them to be just like super on point with it, so that way the people that stopped by and would, kind of cocking their head like, what is going on, would be like, all right, well, whatever he's doing is obviously working, because some people are having a good time and they're actually being valuable, decent employees. Now, when I first started training, we had this set up. There would be 2 trainers for every class, and we would receive 30-ish students, and we had them for anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks, depending on what the needs of the call center were. The materials were all provided to us, and the materials, quite frankly, were some of the dullest material I'd ever read in my entire life. And another thing, which is a huge pet peeve of mine, is a lot of trainers would literally just read what was on the PowerPoint presentation. And if you've been in one of those situations, or if you are one of these people that reads everything that's on the PowerPoint, then yes, I'm talking to you are failing your audience. You are failing those people, or the people that do that, they are failing you. People like, dude, I can read. I've been here. Reading is fundamental. We can all read. I don't need you to read something that I can already read. It is your job to make the material pop off of that page, not me to read what is on the page, and not you to read me what is on the page. Like I said, I can read. Anyways, so what I would do is I would just read over everything, and I would just look to see how I could punch it up, how I could make it more funny, more interesting, because even way back then, I knew that people tend to retain information when they learn it with some sort of novelty or some sort of humor behind it. If you can get a laugh, it's probably going to stick in your head. So I would constantly try to find an analogy or some way to relate the material to them. One of the things I used to have people do was when I had to talk about, for example, how a cell phone battery is going to be drained faster when a phone is on vibrate than when a phone rings, I would have everybody just kind of shake like this, and then I would just have them say beep, beep, and then I would just ask them, okay, now what takes more energy? Another thing I would do is I would say, hey, if somebody on the first Tuesday of every single month came and punched you in the face and they were contractually bound to do it, you would probably feel pretty stupid if you didn't read that contract and didn't know that that was a clause or a stipulation of the contract to be punched in the face every single first Tuesday of every month, because punch you in the face, man, has got to be there. And they'd be like, okay, yeah. Now, it sounds completely wacky, but at the same time, those people were like, oh yeah, it is kind of important to know what's in that contract. Okay, I know it does sound like I'm tooting my own horn a bit here, and I totally am, but really I did have supervisors come up and tell me, hey man, I love getting your trainees, they're well trained, they know their way around the system, they knew exactly what the job entails, they're good with the people on the phone, so whatever you're doing in those classes, you're doing it right. The other thing that I really liked about the training program is at the end of every single class, we had this huge potluck with all the other training classes if possible. And there's a lot of ethnic diversity within our area out here in Seattle. So I got to try just so many different types of ethnic cuisine at the end of every single one of those classes. And the food was amazing. Some of the stuff that people brought in, just chef's kiss. And another thing that I actually stole from one of my trainees was candied bacon. We had a training class where the students really loved the show Epic Mealtime back when it was like super popular, and one of them brought in candied bacon, and from the first moment I tasted it, I was like, all right, well, this is going to replace the risotto that I was always making for the rest of my potlucks. Not that my risotto wasn't good, all right, my risotto is bomb, all right, but yeah, candied bacon was a lot easier to do. I could just kind of set it up, do my own thing, put it into like an easy to fill container, and just be ready to go. Other stuff that I really loved about the job was that the entire training program, like every single one of us, we were just like a huge clique, man. Like we would all go to break together, and it would just be like we would just be walking down the hallways like we were Wyatt Earp and his homies, just in the wild, wild west, ready to take on the people at the OK Corral. So how did it all fall to pieces? Why did I leave? Well, in the States, we have a saying that it gets worse before it gets better, but in this case, it was the opposite. It got better before it got worse. We converted to a new type of training that was imposed upon us by our client. I loved it, actually. It was some "Oh Captain, My Captain, Dead Poet Society" type of thing. Nobody's gonna get that reference. I'll put a thing here so you know at least where that's from. I'm gonna leave this in though. Anyways, I was on board from day one. It was a way to basically have our trainees teach themselves, and we would just have to give them a little bit of guidance, and that really gelled with the way I like to train anyways, because you seem to learn things and retain things more when you've figured out how to make it make sense to yourself. So just give them a little bit of guidance, give them a little bit of humor, tell them a few things interesting, and they're pretty much good. They teach themselves. They're much stronger employees. It was phenomenal, actually. They also halved the amount of trainees that we got with every training class, so we were able to really focus on them and give them a good experience and extra attention to make them better agents when they got onto the phones. One of my training classes even threw me a princess party at the end during our potluck, and they gave me these little butterfly wings and some little antennas and like a star magic wand thing, and I wore that costume around the entire training center with the sparkles and everything like a boss. Anyways, that was great. What happened from there, however, is because we didn't have as many trainees and because call center turnover is quite high, is that the company kind of started to lose a little bit of money. So they always kind of looked to us to try to cut the budget, put the people on the phones faster, stuff like that, fill the classrooms up a little bit with more people than are supposed to be there, according to what the client says. But the thing is that the call center had the final say as far as to how many people could end up being there. So the experiential thing got wrecked a little bit, but we were still keeping that afloat. However, there began to be other regulations that came through with the company saying that, oh, well, trainees can't get overtime unless they're answering phone calls. So there was one day where I had to just dip at like, I don't know, 4 hours early because I had already reached my 40 hours for that particular week and left the other trainer there to teach the rest of that class by himself. Also, the pay the entire time was absolutely horrible. Now, I, for one, have no problem with a job that has a pay structure in which a regular employee can be a really excellent employee and do super good whatever their task is and do a lot of overtime hours and make tons of money and end up making more than their boss and more than their boss's boss and their boss's boss's boss, whatever. That is completely cool. But when you have an employee that is not performing at extremely high levels, that is not doing overtime, that, is basically not a great employee, making just about the same or a little bit more than you, and you're already struggling with the amount that they're paying you, yeah, that's not going to work. Like, something's got to give. And eventually, one by one, everyone in my department started to look for work elsewhere. So the thing about the pay we were receiving is the fact that it was bargain basement by the industry standard. Like, literally other companies were paying double or in some cases triple what we were making for the exact same position, call center trainer. And if you're working at McDonald's and somebody working at Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell was making 2 or 3 times what you were making, you would probably look elsewhere. And that's what we all began doing. But our boss really went to bat for us, since she tried to get us raises. She tried personally to get me a raise to keep me on because she knew I loved it. She knew that I was getting good results, and I didn't want to leave. I was willing to put up with it. I was willing to make less than what I was being offered to leave just to be able to continue doing what I already love to do. But it just didn't work out. And one of the cool things, one of the best things about the training department actually was our sense of humor. The first person that quit, we gave them a cake. The cake had "traitor" written on it. And when I saw that trader cake, the thing that went through my mind was, man, in the back of my mind, I was just thinking, I want a trader cake. And another thing that was happening at that time was I was, really into being physically fit and working out. I mean, obviously not anymore, or not like I was. Your boy's got a lot of work to do right now. Shout out to my friend that gave me this awesome Cincinnati style chili shirt. I really wanted to get into CrossFit, which is an extremely expensive gym membership. Also, I was rock climbing a lot. I'm gonna put like proof that I was actually in shape up here so you can see that your boy did have muscles and could do some cool stuff. Anyways, and at that time I was thinking, all right, dude, I'm an adult. I should be able to have a frivolous gym membership or two that costs too much money. It shouldn't be out of the question at this point in my life. So we were all looking for different careers basically. And trader number two came, which was not me, but I ended up being trader number three. To this day, I still miss it. I really had a blast going home and thinking of new, interesting ways to try to help the people understand some of the new material that we were presented with. And at this time, I also want to give a huge shout out to Jay. Man, you took me under your wings. You were really the first person in the training department that really showed me the ropes and showed me what it would be like to be a really good trainer. The first night class that we had together, I literally had no idea what I was doing or who I was or who I wanted to be as far as being a trainer was. And by the end of it, I knew exactly who I was and exactly how I wanted to train. And that was because of you. Like you showed me how to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and you let me fly. And I cannot thank you enough for that. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so very much for watching. I will shoot the companion video that I was talking about at the beginning and try to get that out to you guys as soon as possible. And as you can tell, the techniques and everything that I learned from those days when I was a trainer and that I really love doing, something I really love doing, are exactly what I've been applying here, except for now I'm the one controlling the curriculum. So you're getting me unfiltered, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please give me a like. Please share it with as many people as you can, because again, as I've said many times, my goal is to truly help people with their understanding of English and their quest to learn languages in general. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever time it is that you're watching it, and I will catch you guys next Tuesday with another story time episode. All right, ciao.